I'm too occupied myself here. I do not have enough time to travel. I found my niche right in between. So people come in for a vibe. Networking is the key again. We talk about the samosa or the Indian bhaji, chicken tikka masala, palak paneer, This is my genre. I can teach the skills, but then I cannot teach you the attitude.
What was your biggest cultural shock when you moved to Australia, or the challenge you faced when you From an international student to owning 4 restaurants in Australia. I'm not sure about you, but I'm really excited to hear about Mukka and Kabir's story. Without wasting much time, let's get into the video. Welcome to the show, Kabir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sam, for having me.
So we'd like to get started with talking about your story first and story of Mukka, how it all started. So please feel free to explain.
I'd be happy to share my journey with you. So it all started in 2020, just like any other student. I arrived to the country. I wasn't on a student visa, to be honest. I flew in as a tourist visa. The idea was just to explore the country for 30 days, see how I feel about it. To be honest, I fell in love with Melbourne, and COVID hit. So I actually flew in just before COVID, the first lockdown. So COVID hit, had all the opportunities to go back home even back then, repatriation flights and everything, how people were just trying and escape the country. But then that was a turning point for me, and I thought, okay, I think this is sort of God's message that I should explore my potential and the country at the same time. So yeah, I enrolled myself in cookery because I've always had that passion for food and hospitality. Just wanted to learn in detail how things work behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Always had the entrepreneurship in me because I belong to a business family. I've done business for the longest time ever. So, but then I actually wanted to learn the skill itself before I actually got myself involved into any hospitality unit. So yeah, just like any other student, I started up with odd jobs. I'd say was fortunate enough to understand the culture, the work culture, as well as the emotional side of the culture, the Australian culture, and been fortunate enough again to experience what all I've experienced in these 5 years, especially with Mukka now owning up to 4 venues. So yeah.
Great. Yeah, that's quite a lot of journey for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's been incredible.
Nice. And what was your biggest cultural shock when you moved to Australia, or the challenge you faced when you
I wouldn't say it was a shock, but then, one thing that caught my attention was how open and how favorable the culture is with respect to the hospitality industry. I believe to some extent Indian hospitality is very formal, whereas here in Australia you walk up to a cafe in your shorts, in your sandals, and then you can order in a coffee and even get to have a conversation with the owner himself. So the owner operated style of the business is something that got my attention.
That's great. Yeah, I find it certainly, that in Australia you have a bit more informal settings and a bit more casual environment.
Absolutely. You have owner-operated business, which brings in the personal touch to the whole hospitality experience.
Yeah. So how about Mukka? How you came up to thinking of like, okay, I need to start a business, or this is the business I would start? So
like I said, so always been inclined towards hospitality. So the idea of serving the community has always been there. I think, so I'm a Sikh religion, right? So even when you go to a Sikh temple, the Gurdwara, when you're in a setting where you're doing the langar or, the crowd food setting, So that's always been very essential part of me, and this is who I am. I love feeding people. Also a strong passion towards our own cuisine, which I feel has now achieved the credit in terms of cuisines that are being served in Melbourne. Melbourne being a foodie place, so I think Indian cuisine is now coming up, and I actually wanted to have a place with the vibe, with the energy, where you're serving good food with our personal touch, which Australia offered me, like I just mentioned, that you have owners working in your own setting, giving the experience that you've learned back home across the table to whomsoever I'm sitting. It's just an amazing experience, man.
Yeah, that's great. And how about like if a student has to, start a journey in a hospitality sector, as let's say first as an entrepreneur, what would you suggest and what will be the steps that they should take?
Look, there's no set blueprint, I'd say. it's each to their own. I think the first thing that you need be the attitude, which is really important. You should be open to understanding what's happening around you. Be adaptable for sure, because and you have to be a quick learner, I'd say. So adapt, learn, and then implement it, I would say. So like I said, so I understood the idea of how hospitality culture works here. My entrepreneurial background combined got Mukka this far today, that we started off with one venue in 2021 and we are here in 2025 and I'm already running 4 venues. So the first hit was I was 100% sure about my product to what I was offering. Every other restaurant that is running, they are serving to the best of their potential. So all of the cafes, all of the restaurants, that they're doing 100% justice to the food that they're serving. It's just that I think what lacks sometimes is the energy, where as in you're just not able to put that across to your customer. I think we've struck gold with the balance in terms of food as well as the customer service. So if I was to give any advice, I'd say just have the attitude, go do it, have dreams, and then work towards them, for sure. Yeah.
All right. So in terms of if you are hiring a student now, let's go to the other side of hospitality venues, because a lot of international students look for work in the hospitality sector. What advice, or let's say, first of all, maybe the skills that you look at when you're hiring someone for a job, let's say for waiter, waitress, or even in a kitchen environment, what sort of skills that you look for?
See, the only thing and the most important thing that I look for is attitude. So you have to be a team player. Respect is uttermost important to me. You should be a team player. I can teach the skills, but then I cannot teach you the attitude. So you have to understand that no job is any less than other. Whatever you have in your hand, just do it perfect, or at least try to. So even if you're a dish hand, which I started as a dish hand, I used to work at McDonald's, I worked there as kitchen hand. So there's no shame whatsoever in whatever you're doing, as long as you're doing it right. It just gives you a sense of satisfaction. So the only skill that I look is the attitude, how you are towards your job and the role that has been offered to you. If you're working front of the house, I would say, that there's no shame, or you're not any less if you're not able to understand or speak the language. Language is a barrier. I understand we come from a language or from a background where Hindi is our first language and not English. But then now that we are here in Australia, we need to know that, okay, this is the language. You have to be functional enough to speak and understand at the same time. So I think the only thing that I look in when I'm hiring staff, be it front of house or back of the house, is attitude and being a team player.
Nice. Yeah. So how about, like you talked about, like communication skills over there as well, especially for the front of house staff members. Your English is pretty good as well, and you have your accent is quite I would say accustomed to Australian style already. Did you learn somewhere specifically these skills?
See, I think the only thing I know be the product knowledge. Now, this is the menu that I have in front of me. I designed it all myself. So I have deep knowledge of the product that I'm selling. So even if I'm sitting across the customer, you have to understand, if I'm trying and make a conversation with you, let's give you a real example here. Okay, I'll try and create a scenario. So if you're sitting across as a customer, I greet you, we say hi, hello, or howsoever the slang, maybe it does not matter, as long as you understand me and I understand you. Okay, so what are we going to do here, sitting in a setting where it's a restaurant? So obviously we're going to talk about food. Now, if you have deep product knowledge, you can start on with the conversation. Now, if you talk about the samosa or the onion bhaji, chicken tikka masala, palak paneer, this is my genre. So I know each and every detail. So I can talk about spices. I can talk about how it's being cooked in the kitchen, how fresh it is, where are the spices being sourced from. So it sort of gave me a platform to have that base for the communication with my customers and that basic interaction. So that's all. It all started from there. And then obviously, once you get into the routine of it, day in and out, you're talking about the same things, and then you open to adapting again at the same time. So that's I think it's the product knowledge is the key for sure, and then the communication side will come to it. Of course, when you live in the country, you get to meet thousands of people day in and out. I think that's what get me started, and then here I am.
Sure. Yeah. And do you think it's important for students to do networking as well, go out and meet people from different cultures and
Absolutely, man. Networking is the key again, rightly said. So look, now we are outside India. Okay. this is the country where we are living, be it as students or if you're going to be here temporary or permanent. If you're not here to explore, then exactly what are you here for? You know, you have to be out there, put yourself out there. Look, I wouldn't be biased saying here, and please do not hold me for it, but then to a great extent, I think people here are really soft, humble, grounded. They won't put you down if you're wrong.
Yeah.
Rather, they'll come around in the most polite way to correct you. If they understand your message across, they'll give you the right answer as well at the same time.
I see.
You won't be judged on being wrong.
Yeah.
Until unless, there's something that has been offensive or, something that they're not able to apprehend within themselves. But then apart from that, you definitely have to be out there, explore, talk to people, go in settings where you meet new people. And it's just not Australian culture, it's a multicultural country. End of the day, I mean, you get to be Lebanese, Iranis, Afghanis, you have all sort of cultures living here, all sort of religions living here. So
Yeah.
explore it all, man, while it lasts.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And if you have to give advice to prospective students who's coming to Australia or already just arrived and they're still settling down, and what advice would you give it to them?
All right. So if they are settling down, and if you've just landed, I would say this is what I did for myself, right?
Sure.
So I'll only speak for myself. I mean, again, each to their own. But then the first thing I had in mind is how to have a base or how to have something when you wake up next morning that excites you. Okay. Apart from your studies, of course, you'd be working, and everyone wants to have a job, which is great. That makes you independent. And obviously, it puts you in a setting where you'd be meeting different set of people, So all those opportunities are something that I looked for. I realized deep within that I was good at sales in communication. So I found myself my job in sales. I used to work for a solar company in renewable resources. So I was a top salesperson from the very get-go because I knew my product.
Okay.
So product knowledge again played an important role. And then, of course, I made mistakes in the beginning. That hasn't been the same all day, every day.
Nobody's
but then,
perfect, like they say.
no, it took me a while. But then, like I said, I'm a quick learner. So I learned from my mistakes and moved on. Don't sit on them and don't just keep thinking. Act on it.
Cool.
So I'd say,
What would be your advice to someone who's starting their business in 2025? Let's say they want to start a restaurant or any other business. What would be your advice to them?
All right. So analyze first within what exactly it is that you want to do, where your skill lies, most importantly. And then another thing which is really important is if you're going to be adding any value to the community, is it really needed by the people here? No, it's never enough restaurants, I'd say. Everyone has their unique thing to offer. But then what I'm trying and do personally at Mukka is I'm not a fine dine restaurant. I'm not even a casual restaurant. So I've found my niche right in between. So people come in for a vibe. We have all, Australian locals coming in for dates now to Indian restaurants.
Nice.
So I've created that sort of niche market for myself because I had the vision from the very get-go that this is where my customers are going to be. So, the ambiance, the food, the plating, it's everything simple, but then, it's just the whole experience. It's a wholesome experience, I would say, for my customers. So if you want to start your entrepreneurial journey in Australia, it's very easy, to be honest. I started off as a student itself while I opened up my first store. So in terms of company incorporation, obviously you got to have a good CA. It's form your company, get started. There's not much of complexity when it comes to in terms of authorities and company formations and stuff. Probably would take a day or two, and there you go. I mean, yes, the only implication, because when I first started was the when you go out and hunt for rental premises, that can be a bit of barrier, which can be overcome. I would say money plays a crucial role, man. So instead of 3 months, you probably would end up paying 6 months or 9 months of security, which I did as well at the same time.
Sure.
But then that can be overcome, like I said, in terms of money. So if you have that extra capital, you would still be able to get a good place or place of your choice, I'd say. Definitely you have to have enough for running operations. So just do not estimate that, say, if you're planning to open up a restaurant and if you have a budget of $200,000 now, do not just keep that $200,000 to open up the restaurant.
Okay.
You got to have at least 6 months of backup. to run that business. Say if you were not doing any sales from the get-go, so at least you'd be able to survive for the 6 months, you know. So now if you've completed 6 months, if you have enough cash flow coming in, if your product is right, if your marketing strategy is right, you know, things are falling in place, the time will teach you everything from there on. Another thing that teaches you, I'd say no book can teach you the business that all of us as entrepreneurs we do, but it's just the customer experience. So listen to your customers. What do they want? What do they expect when they walk in? If you work on the feedback, sky's the limit for you. So the entrepreneurial journey in Australia is way easy, I'd say, in comparison to where we come from.
Yeah, is it less bureaucratic and it's probably like straightforward processes? In
Oh,
terms of-
absolutely,
yeah.
100%. Yeah. So, like I said, just get in a good CA. He'd help you with the company setup, and then from there on, you have your banking done. You know, you have your point of sale in place. So everything's very integrated. You know, the tech is there. The tech support is awesome. You know, I mean, nowadays, you know, you're talking about artificial intelligence and everything. So there are things in place to make things even better and efficient. So it's not a big deal to start up a journey as long as you have the right resources, right skill set, and then of course you have a blueprint of exactly what you're trying and set up and what you want to offer. So do not differentiate there. Sometimes people get carried away, I'd say, whereas they want to serve the audience what they want to serve and not understanding what the audience actually need. So where I come from, or how I see it, is I understand the need of my audience rather than me implementing my own things and serving to them, which gets a bit tricky.
Yeah, no, that's great. And in terms of like, because you're managing so many things at the same time, and like a student also have to juggle between work, study, this life, and so on. How do you manage your time? Do you follow any timesheet trackers or things like that you do? Or you have any apps that you have?
Look, I'd be lying about this if I'd say that I'm able to manage it all. There's nothing like work-life balance, man. So either you're on a goal, you're on a mission to achieve something, and for the greater good. Obviously, you look at, being an entrepreneur, you just don't look at short-term results. The journey is long. So I have goals 5 years from now, 10 years from now.
Nice.
So I'm just working toward that goal day in and out. So I don't keep a track of my days.
Okay.
Weekends, weekdays, time. It doesn't matter to me because this is my priority. I'm very happy in what I'm doing. It makes me happy. It makes me proud. It gives me a reason to get up in the morning and give it 100%. So I'm sorry, my friend, but I won't be able to give you much of advice there because I do not have any work-life balance. So there are days when I'm, so done that I'd cry to myself and say, hey, you know what have I got myself into? But then end of the day, when I talk to my customers, when I serve them, their one 5-star comment or their smile, it just makes my day. Honestly, that's all I seek and that's all I expect. And that gives me strength to come back the next day even stronger.
Nice. And what's the vision for you, let's say in 5-10 years? Where do you want to see yourself in the business?
All right. So I'd say God's been very kind ever since I've moved to the country. So the vision was to have 5 stores within 5 years.
Okay.
So it's only 3.5 and we are done with 4 stores already. Another couple of stores that we'd be done by June 2026. We've already shortlisted the location. So in terms of Mukka, will be 6 stores essentially. The plan is to open up 20 stores for the next 3 years. I'd say we are on track, rightfully. The customers are loyal. The customer satisfaction is high. The team is awesome. I believe in women empowerment, and you'd be amazed to know that all of my chefs are actually all ladies. So I have great rapport with them. I'm always looking forward to right candidates who want to come in. So be it your job ready programs or be it your 482 nominations, if you have the passion, leave the rest to me. You just do what you do the best, and then Mukka will take care of the rest.
Nice, that's great. And you're planning to open all these 20 stores within Melbourne or in the state?
The plan is to go 20 stores in Melbourne. Before I actually move out, we have a lot of opportunities. We have a lot of inquiries coming in from Sydney, from Canberra, from Perth. But then I think I'm too occupied myself here. I do not have enough time to travel, to be honest. But then, like I said, I would want to have my processes correct. before I jump on to anything bigger that I can chew, you know. I'm still not 100% when it comes to the back end of it. Way ahead of, I'd say, most of the people out there, but then, you know, there are still fine tuning needed here and there, which I'm trying to do. So yeah, hopefully within the next couple of years, I'll be strong enough to take that bold step and take Mukka interstate. And why interstate? I might actually go New Zealand as well.
Nice. No, that was great advice. All right.
Sure.
Cool. All right. So that's pretty much it from
Yeah.
our side. So thank you for
Thank
your
you
time
so
again.
much for having me, Sam. Thank
No
you so
worries.
much,
All right.
man. Really
Pleasure
appreciate
to have
it.
you here.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. So that was a wrap. I hope you find this information useful. If you have any question, please let us know in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.